To kind of explain what Linux is, you have to actually explain what an operating system is, okay? So to kind of explain what Linux is, you have to actually explain what an operating system is. And when you start thinking about an operating system, you are actually never ever supposed to see it, okay? Pay close attention. You are never ever supposed to see it because nobody really uses an operating system. I mean it, okay? I literally mean it. Nobody really uses an operating system. Let me tell that once again. Nobody ever uses an operating system. You know why? Because people use programs on their computer. They never use operating system. So people have this always have this misconception that I am using an operating system. You cannot achieve a lot of things by simply using an operating system. You need programs on top of that. And the only mission in life of an operating system is to help these programs run. So operating system never does anything on its own. It's only waiting for programs to ask for certain resources or ask for a certain file on the disk or ask for programs to come connect to the outside world. And then that is where operating system steps in and tries to make it easy for people to write programs. And when I say there is a reason for why I described about operating systems till now, you know why? Linux is, in fact, an operating system. Or I must not say operating system in its entirety because we people till date consider operating system not only as operating system but a collectivity of programs, or I must say collection of programs along with the operating system itself is called as operating system today. So people are not actually using the original concept of operating system today, because think about Windows. Let's take the example of Windows, okay? Let me purposely take the example of Windows. You go and purchase the compact disk, or let's say for example you are going to download an ISO, or you are ordering Windows 7 from Amazon. So the DVD that hits your home actually contains operating system and programs packaged in one single entity, that they are calling it as operating system. However, they are completely incorrect, because Microsoft is trying to give you as much features as possible as part of the operating system, and they're actually fooling everybody. Because in fact, you won't believe, there was a lawsuit fired by a lot of companies against Microsoft saying, hey, why are you guys providing these many features like Internet Explorer? Can you think that Internet Explorer is not part of the operating system? It's an application, damn it. I mean, just think about it. You are a company making only browsers. You know, you guys ever heard of a company called Mozilla Firefox, that is today called as Mozilla Firefox? Everybody heard of it, right? There was some company called Netscape. So in the olden days, it was called Netscape. They guys open sourced their source code, and now it is called as Mozilla. You won't believe they did that simply to survive in the market when Microsoft started to provide a lot of features. When I say features, programs coupled along with the operating system by fooling customers. That's the reason people now start to I mean, it has become a norm now these days. Even Red Hat, even every company provides a lot of application programs along with the operating system itself. Now, when I say that, I'm actually not 100% right. I took the example of Microsoft purposely so that you can understand what I'm trying to say here. However, that's not the case. Several programs are very much essential to be coupled with the operating system. When I say coupled, tightly integrated, or it will be inevitable to avoid those programs to be present in the package. You know why? Because then ultimately the end user won't be able to do anything with the operating system. So there needs to be something to diddle with, to play with. So that's the reason there will be a lot of programs that comes out of the box with the operating system. Programs like, currently I'm logged into a server. So you don't be afraid. I have not even yet started the course, not even yet started any introduction. So for now, just I'm starting with Linux. So for now, keep the fact, just be aware that I'm logged into a server. You are encountering, you can see a console over the screen, a prompt over the screen. what this prompt is doing. So this is an interface. Again, this is a program. So actually, although I'm logged into a server, me being a user, I'm not directly communicating with the operating system. So I'm actually communicating with a program, and program is actually doing the job of going ahead and taking my commands and submitting it to kernel, that is the operating system, and the operating system does the job of allocating required resources for whatever piece of operation that I am asking this particular program to do. So so even in Windows world, when you press start button and sit in the desktop window of a Windows operating system, still you are sitting in a program. You won't believe the environment that you are getting on the screen, the desktop environment. That itself is a program. That is collection of programs that are running in the computer. So when we say Linux, Linux is what? Linux is only the operating system without any single damn program. Not even this shell that you are seeing. It's not Linux. It's actually an external program. The shell that you are encountering right now, the prompt that you are seeing, don't worry about it as of now. For now, just keep the fact in mind that I am using the term to just describe about the interface that we are sitting right now. We have not even started the course for now. Okay. So when I say Linux, Linux is, I must say, the naked operating system or the stripped down version of the heart of operating system without any program as part of it. Now, that is what Linux is. Now, you might be thinking how Linux came into the picture out of the blue. Now, it never came into the picture out of the blue. Now, before, I must say, before there could be Linux, there was a guy named Richard Stallman, this guy right here. So if you are going to learn about open source, if you are going to learn about Linux, if you are going to learn about anything related to Nix family of operating system, I would say consider this guy as a guru. Consider this person as a founding father of everything that we have today. In fact, on a day-to-day basis, you might be using 80% of the tools and utilities that you are using in a Linux operating system that is coming directly out of the organization that he created. So Richard Stallman, in fact, I must say the license agreement and terms which this guy constructed is what made Linux to bloom, or is what made open source to bloom, is what made even giant companies like Red Hat, and I mean nobody had created a Linux agreement, or this guy came up with the idea that operate or things can be shared for free of cost around the world. That is what we are. That is why we are sitting today. That is why you are sitting in this class today. That is what made us reach the level of adoption curve of Linux that you are encountering right now. Now, how it all started. So this guy was working in MIT. So MIT's artificial intelligence lab. So in the olden days, you won't believe, people used to have this notion that software is something which can be shared for free. Nobody ever cared. Nobody ever cared. Okay, nobody ever cared that the software is something that needs to be paid. I mean, how can you believe that? I mean, if you think logically, you will also end up purchasing to that argument. That is, software is something which is like written in. It's a piece of code, right? Why would someone end up paying for it? You only pay for materials that are actually what is it, tangible, right? You won't pay money to materials that are not tangible. Now in today's world, it's widely accepted. Of course, in the olden days, nobody ever used to do that. People used to think that software is something which is available free of cost. And in fact, I must say there were people who used to sit and write really efficient programs, and they used to give away like that, simply like that. Hey, take my program. I have written this efficient program. Take it and use it and let me know how it works. In fact, people were only willing to get those peer reviews, those appreciations, those small sentences saying, hey, it worked really great. Those were the only reward that people were actually looking for in the olden days. In fact, you might have heard of people, you might have heard of a person called Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, then what is it called? Steve Wozniak. Have you guys ever heard of those names? Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Steve Wozniak. You guys have heard of it, right? I'm sure you guys have already heard of it. So there was a computer club called as Homebrew Computer Club in the Silicon Valley during the late 1960s or early 1970s. So that was a place where real hackers were being born. When I say hackers, do not think hacker as an evil guy sitting somewhere in the internet and doing stuff to get inside your system. No, that's not hacker. That's called as a cracker. So hacker is not an evil guy. Okay, when I say hacker, hacker is a person who have playful cleverness or the mentality to explore systems or to the mentality to dive in and solve a particular problem that the industry is currently facing, or the mentality to have programming playfulness. That is what makes you a hacker. So that, in fact, Steve Wozniak, in fact, this guy right here that you're seeing on the screen, Richard Stallman, these were all real pioneers of hacking. So when I say hacking, constructing good programs, fixing bugs, constructing or thinking of new cooler solutions that never existed before. So there was a club known as Computer Club, Homebrew Computer Club. Just Google out, okay? Homebrew Computer Club. You won't believe Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak. These were all members of Homebrew Computer Club. And people were very smart. They started creating, you won't believe, Apple 1 and Apple 2 computers. Apple 1 and Apple 2 computers were demonstrated in Homebrew Computer Club. Just imagine that. Can you believe that? They demonstrated it for free in Homebrew Computer Club. Both Steve Jobs and Steve Jobs and Wozniak together, they tried to demonstrate it. And slowly, business mentality started to arise in people's mind. In fact, I must say the members of Homebrew Computer Club started to think of what is it, business in serious manner. So that is what made them separate. And Bill Gates actually added a lot of fuel to this separation. What was that fuel? He wrote a serious letter to the members saying, hey, you cannot share software programs like this. This is professional work. How can you expect somebody to do professional work for nothing? So please do stop sharing it. And he created, in fact, I must say, Bill Gates is the guy who came up with the idea of proprietary software, came up with the idea of saying, hey, we can sell softwares. I mean, never ever before, nobody ever thought that you can actually sell softwares. So in fact, Bill Gates came up with that idea. In fact, he incorporated a lot of legal sections inside the law saying, okay, you should be able to sell softwares, XYZ terms and conditions, and all those crap that we are dealing with today when you are using an operating system like Windows. Now, even this guy was struggling with the same stuff. There was an operating system called Unix. Now, this guy, Richard Stallman, while he was working in MIT's artificial intelligence lab, he started to face problems with Unix operating system. So Unix is what? Unix is one of the primitive operating systems available out there, not for public usage as such, but it's available. It was available and very popular in the olden days. So what used to happen is this guy, being an employee in MIT's artificial intelligence lab, these guys were actually working on some project and they were actually using Unix. In fact, I must say they were actually designing uh, artificial intelligence capabilities on top of Unix. Now, just think about it. He started facing different problems, and he contacted Unix, the people who wrote Unix, and told, "Hey, please, if you guys can reveal the source code, I know how to fix several bugs, or I know to add a little bit more features to the Unix operating system that you guys wrote." But they were like, "Oh, come on, man! I mean, we do not share source code to anybody else." So they resisted that, and that made an intelligent fellow like him go mad. Because of course, why would somebody on earth keep on working on a problem, or to keep on tolerating a problem if you already know how to fix it? Nobody will do that, right? So if you know how to fix a problem, why would you tolerate it? So he was pretty much frustrated with this mentality, and he started thinking of why don't we start creating our own operating system. So he started a project. That project is called GNU. So you see this letter on the right hand side. This was a letter that I just mentioned. That is Bill Gates' open letter to the hobbyists that were part of Homebrew Computer Club. Bill Gates actually was trying to say that please do not share softwares for free. See this guy right here. This is Steve Jobs and and Steve Wozniak sitting with Apple computer in Homebrew Computer Club. So coming back to what we were discussing, so this guy right here, uh, Richard Stallman, he started. He thought of, I must say, he thought of building his own operating system, and a lot of other co-workers also joined him and started writing operating system. So when I say operating system, as I just mentioned, a bare skeleton operating system is pretty much useless for a user is concerned, right? As far as a user is concerned, because as I mentioned, let me reiterate that statement once again: you are never ever supposed to use an operating system directly. In fact, people use programs on their computer, and you will never ever use an operating system directly. So when Richard Stallman and the group of hackers set out to build the operating system, they had a lot of job to do. You know what? Starting to write replacement programs for the programs that they were dealing with in Unix. So they named it GNU. GNU is a recursive acronym. Okay. I'm typing GNU on the screen. Don't worry what I'm doing with the shell console. If you're completely new, don't worry at all. I'll be covering what it looks like, why it is looking the way it is looking right now. So don't worry at all about it. So I'm typing something. I always have this habit of typing things on shell prompt simply because it is much easier to type here rather than opening a text editor or something like that. Now, what is GNU? You guys are following me properly, right? Everybody is able to hear me properly. Give me feedback, guys. Hello, are you guys there?
Yes,
Yes,
I can
yes.
hear.
Perfect.
Yeah, we are hearing.
And give me this
Good.
consistent feedback, right? Otherwise, I'll think that you guys are meditating and I'll be lost.
Yeah,
No.
no,
Okay?
no,
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So there, this Richard Stallman created an organization called GNU. GNU stands for what? GNU is not Unix. This is what it stands for. GNU is not Unix. This is actually a recursive acronym where this is actually a funny name he purposely created simply to tell the people behind Unix that, hey, please beware, we are not actually creating Unix. We are actually creating something similar, but this is an entirely new source code. It has no relation with the the proprietary Unix out there. So that was his message. So he created an organization called GNU. You won't believe, you can even today visit gnu.org, open this website in your, and I mean, of course, I mean, this is only dedicated for hardcore programmers and Linux enthusiasts, or I must say enthusiasts in the field of programming, in the field of Linux or Nix family of operating systems. Now coming back to the discussion once again. Now, as I told, he had to start writing replacement programs. A lot of other programmers also started contributing to it. But of course, in the beginning, nobody will be with you, right? When people start adopting things, then only you will get a lot of programmers involving in the project. In the beginning, it was only Richard Stallman and a bunch of other hackers who were working in his artificial intelligence lab. Now, they were in fact successfully able to replace, I must say, 80% of replacement programs successfully. However, they were actually not able to complete one core component, that is the kernel of the operating system. I must say, the main heart of the operating system or the operating system itself. Uh, so they were unable to complete it, although they were successfully able to complete the rest of the stuff. In fact, I must not say they were unable to complete. I must say they were actually able to complete it, but it was buggy. It was not production ready. It was not in a state which can be shipped to the masses. So that's the reason they placed a hold on that, and they were actually fixing those bugs. And during the same time, a student named Linus Torvalds, his name is Linus Torvalds. Okay, during the same period, when these guys, that is GNU guys, which is owned by Richard Stallman, was actually facing problems with buggy kernel, which they wrote as a replacement for Unix. And of course, they were successful in replacing 80% of the programs. They were not able to successfully complete the final piece of it, that is the final kernel piece of it. Now, during the same period, a student sitting in Finland University during the early 1990s, a student in Finland University, he was also creating a hobby project. This was a hobby project for him to install a Unix and or to create a Unix like operating system to be installed on his home computer. So he was actually not willing to challenge the people behind Unix, similar to what Richard Stallman did, but he was actually trying to create something which he can install on his own computer at home. So that was what he was trying to do, and he in fact successfully created it. And you won't believe, Linux, you know how Linux came into picture. I must say, in the olden days, how people used to share things, people used to share things using a protocol called FTP. Even it is used today as well, but not it is not used to the extent that it was being used in the olden days. So the FTP, so in FTP, what happens is you will get an access to a URL, and that URL will have a credentials, username and password. And when you enter that, you will get a lot of directory listing or folders which you can access and download different stuff. So Linux was actually a folder name or a directory name in the FTP server where Linux was first published. There was a service called Usenix. So Usenix was the place where Linux was initially published it. And in fact, I must say, people started adopting it and people started liking it. You won't believe, even Richard Stallman, what he thought, okay, let me grab the kernel that is released by this kid, this new kid, Linus Torvalds, and let me see implementing my programs or the programs which we wrote as a replacement for Unix, and fill the missing gap of Linux kernel in our system by adopting Linux kernel. So Richard Stallman thought about it and he adopted Linux kernel and filled the gap of that missing kernel. That is what today is called as GNU slash Linux. So whenever people say that I am working on a Linux system, they are actually telling it wrongly. So you should always call something you should always call a Linux operating system not as Linux but as GNU slash Linux. You know why? Because you should never forget about the 80% of the contribution, the underlying groundwork laid out by, when it comes to legal, philosophical, when it comes to programs, when it comes to rest of the stuff that Richard Stallman did and GNU organization did. Linux is only filling the piece that is 20%. Now, even today, you won't believe the shell that you are logged in now, the interface that you are sitting right now. When I say you, and the shell that I am logged into right now. So that also is a gift of GNU. Can you imagine that writing a shell is not a is a not a is a not a joke, and it is the same critical job that writing a kernel is. So GNU slash Linux is what you guys will refer to any Linux operating system. Okay, so you will not refer it as Linux. Now, people started to think of business ideas from there, and people started adopting GNU slash Linux. And what they did, simply build their own programs around GNU slash Linux. Of course, GNU slash Linux, group of programs from GNU and the kernel from Linux. Now people started adopting this and they started writing their own programs, and they wrapped those programs around this combination, that is GNU slash Linux, and they named it as a distribution. So what is Red Hat doing? Red Hat is simply taking GNU slash Linux combination, and then they are wrapping or adding a bit more features from their side, from their programmers, and then naming it as Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And of course, they will have employees who will support you if you get stuck by when you are using their distribution of Linux. When I say their distribution, their fair share of programs, which is coupled along with GNU slash Linux, that is the core component. And when you start using it and if you get stuck, these guys will of course provide you support, as well as they guys will provide you repositories from where you can update packages and stuff like that. So that is why people pay to Red Hat. There are companies like Ubuntu as well. So there are like thousands of distributions out there. Even tomorrow, go home and simply download GNU softwares, which is programs, and then Linux kernel, and combine it, and you add a few more programs from your side, and you can call it as a distribution. So creating a distribution is a very simple job these days. Anybody can create a distribution. Even you can go home today and create a distribution in a matter of few days, because that is what the legal document. This is all happening because of the legal groundwork that Richard Stallman did. Think about it this way: you are adopting GNU Linux, the same software as everything which is available for everybody, and renaming it by simply adding several things on top of it and renaming it with a brand name that you want to give. And you, of course, with only one clause, you should be providing your operating system with the same set of rules that you got it. That is, when you are sharing your distribution, you should be sharing with the same rule set. That is, anybody can again adopt your distribution, and then anybody can play with it for free. Anybody can write something on top of it, etc. Everybody follow till here? Everything clear till
Sharath,
here?
Sharath, I have a small question, Sharath.
Shoot, shoot.
I have a, yeah. So the difference between the Red Hat Linux and the Ubuntu, or the different variant of Linux, is just a change in the program which they're using,
Yeah,
and the
absolutely,
GNU.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So the GNU Linux is the same, but the different programs are customized by the different
Exactly,
like SUSE is using its own programs, and Red Hat is using its own programs, and they're
absolutely,
giving the support to the programs.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Not only they are not only giving support to the programs, they are also providing, they are saying like, we have GNU Linux experts as well, right? So they are saying, they are actually what is a they are actually having a lot of programmers who even contribute to Linux development even till date, and they will keep some of their developers with them so that they can use that as a selling pitching point, right? Saying, hey, we have this many geniuses of Linux with us, or GNU Linux is with us. Along with that, we also provide these many XYZ features for you. Because companies like IBM, they actually, even today, I mean, you will be really amazed to know this fact that even today, some giant companies, they do not want technical efficiency. They want peace of mind. When I say peace of mind, they want guarantee from somebody. The guarantee, when I say guarantee, guarantee is saying, hey, we will take care of you if something goes really bad in your environment. They want such guarantee.
Okay.
They do not want a genius engineer. Even though they say that they need it, they always look for other companies who will say, hey, we will take care of, we are there to support you if something goes bad. So that is what people are looking for. That is where this particular business
So
model steps in.
so the license comes into the picture. So since they're providing the license and support, they're charging some amount to the companies. Am I right?
Correct, correct, correct. Not license. Linux operating system itself, GNU slash Linux and Red Hat itself, Red Hat Enterprise Linux itself is free for anybody to use, provided you are not leveraging any of the Red Hat specific programs or Red Hat specific features. When I say features, Red Hat provides features, add-on features like upgrading a several package. So Red Hat provides their own features to upgrade something on the system. Of course, when I say upgrade, let's imagine a situation where hackers discovered a vulnerability that is a problem with any of the software programs that is actually currently being used by GNU slash Linux. So Red Hat, of course, Linux community will release an update. Red Hat will adopt that update and will keep that update in a specific place, which all the Red Hat Enterprise Linux GNU slash Linux combination of servers are able to download and install it smoothly. If you want all those smooth swiftness, then of course you should be, of course, utilizing Red Hat's features. Otherwise, what is it? Be at your own terms, and you will have to end up installing and configuring by your own method and stuff like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharath.
No problem. But always, I would say there are companies like Ubuntu, which is a Debian distribution of Linux, which is totally free. You won't believe all the features that I just described are actually provided free of cost. They are only making money by simply charging if anybody requires support. If you do not need support, they are fine with that as well. But with Red Hat, you want to actually, if you want to subscribe to Red Hat's Enterprise Linux, they want to give you direct download link for that. There are open source versions of Red Hat Enterprise Linux that is called CentOS, Fedora, from which they are not willing to make money. So they are only willing to make money from their enterprise release offering. Of course, again, the same thing, GNU slash Linux, but with some add-on features and support as well. That's it. Any questions before we move further? No, right? And do you guys think Linux became all of a sudden this popular out of the blue? I mean, don't you guys think? I mean, have you ever experienced that during the late 1990s, all of a sudden, not 1990s, I must say early 2000, all of a sudden people started speaking about only Linux, right? I mean, Windows was actually getting erased slightly, slowly from the server market, right? So I don't know how this happened. I will tell you how this happened. So there was something called as a web server. And even websites was pretty new during 2000, right? During early 2000 and during what is it, late 1990s. So there was a software which people even till date uses. It is called Apache web server. Everybody heard of it? So it is consider it as a web server. Okay, so we will cover that topic in our course as well. For now, just let me introduce you how Linux became so popular and how people started adopting it. So Apache Web Server was a free software that can be used to host your website. And Apache Web Server was written for free, again using the same legal method designed by Richard Stallman, again by using the same background, same working ethos of Richard Stallman. They designed this web server which anybody can install on top of Linux operating system. So people started thinking, hey, we are getting this free operating system, we are getting this free operating system. Along with that, we are also getting the web server feature, which of course Microsoft, with achieving the same result in Microsoft, is not free. So then people started thinking we can save a lot of money if you start using Linux and Apache combination to host a website. Because in the olden days, websites were the only use case of a server. So that was the reason Linux adoption curve. So Apache and Linux adoption curve, if you map it or plot a graph, you can see that both are actually going in the same line. So Apache is what made Linux adopt in a much more way, or I must say, the stage that we are sitting right now. Got it, guys? Till now, everything clear till now? Any questions till now? Let me proceed further. Give me a feedback
No
at least.
questions. Yeah,
Okay.
no questions.
Questions
Okay.
still.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do. So currently you are seeing an interface, right? Right now on the screen you are seeing an interface. Now that interface is called as a shell. Okay. Now what is shell? Again, let me reiterate. Shell is also a program. You are not actually communicating directly with the operating system. You will always communicate using a program. Now, the environment that you are seeing right now, the whatever random characters or whatever gibberish looking thing that you are currently seeing on the screen is called as a shell. So shell is what? Shell is a user interface program that is created by GNU slash Linux, a GNU organization, and of course used by all Linux distribution. This is called a shell. Let me spell it. It is called as shell. So what is a shell? Shell is nothing but an user interface program using which this is the only interface using which you can actually communicate with the server. So when you want to communicate something, you will always end up using this program. So when I say this program, you are not creating this manually. When you are logging into the server first time, the user login method is tightly coupled with the program called shell. So a user is always designed to be using a shell, and the default shell program in all the Linux distribution is called as Bash shell. So why it is called as Bash shell? It is called as Bash shell simply because Bash itself is a replacement program written by GNU when they were creating a Unix like operating system. So there was a shell called Bourne shell, BSH. Okay, there was a shell called BSH in the case of Unix. Now, when Richard Stallman and his team started to write replacement programs, they replaced, of course, Bourne shell with Born Again shell. Bash stands for Born Again shell. So, of course, they had to rename everything to something GNU specific rather than Unix specific because GNU was not Unix. So they named it as Bash rather than Bourne shell, BSH. That is Born Again shell. So the interface that you're seeing right now is called as a shell prompt. So shell is what? A user interface used for executing commands. Now, nowadays we have graphical user interfaces. On most Linux system, there is something called as KDE, Genome. These are all graphical user interfaces. In Windows, you have, of course, the default desktop interface that you are getting. All of those are also programs. Similar to that, consider the shell as a interface for executing commands. So you are not going to get anything else when it comes to a production server or any server for that matter. You will always get this interface. Now you might be thinking how why the interface is looking the way it is currently looking. So before I we come to that part, uh, think of it this way. So you being a user will get this interface and you will type in commands. When I say commands, what are commands? So commands are once again nothing but other programs. Okay. Of course, operating system is never ever used by a user. Let me reiterate that same sentence once again. Operating system is never ever used by any user. People use programs. The very first program that everybody will use is called as bash shell. Once bash shell is initiated, the user will be presented with a prompt like this. And using this prompt, you will be able to type in another commands. When I say another commands, what are those? They are other programs from GNU slash combination from gnu.org where you will actually be using bash shell to trigger other programs. Isn't that interesting? You will be using one program that is bash itself. Bash itself is a program. Using bash program, the only main role of bash shell is to let users execute other programs. Okay, bash itself is a program and bash will give you the features required for executing other programs on the computer. That is what is bash designed to do. Now, bash itself, when I say I'm going to type a command, so do not always think that whatever command that I'm going to type will always be an external program. It is not like that. Bash itself comes with several built-in commands, which means considering bash as a program, that program itself provides several built-in features. Those built-in features can be accessed by some several commands. Now, if you want to access some other features which is not provided by bash, then of course there are other programs available in the system which again can be triggered using the same terminal that you are sitting. Now, how this is why the shell is looking the way it is looking. Now I can press enter on the screen. You see that I am pressing enter, which means I am asking bash to send a blank request. That is why I am creating the prompt back once again. So I am pressing enter on the screen without typing anything. So I can simply type any command. See that I am simply pressing my keyboard and it is getting typed. And in fact, I can edit things that I have already typed. See, I can go back and forth. If you see my cursor is traveling, I am using left arrow key and right arrow key in my keyboard. So I can travel left side, I can travel right side. Now, before we uh, learn commands of bash, let me tell you something. You might be thinking how it is looking the way it is looking right now. Now that is an interesting question. Now, bash is by default designed to have this particular user interface. When I say this particular user interface, The leftmost component that you're seeing here, it is called as root. There is something specified over here, it is called root. What is that? Root stands for the user that you are currently logged into the server as, uh, which means leftmost side in the shelf prompt. When the shelf prompt is constructed, the leftmost side that you are encountering on the screen stands for username. So what this means is, currently I am logged into the server using a username called ROOT, that is root. From, if you are coming from a Linux background, you might be thinking, what the hell is root? So root is nothing but very much similar to administrator user of Windows. Root is what? Root is the super user, the big daddy of Linux operating system. Okay. So root is what? The full a user with all privileges to do whatever that user wants on the system is called root user. Root is equivalent to administrator user in Windows operating systems. Now, that is what this particular left hand side indicates. Now, left hand side indicates what? Root user. So, what this indicates is, currently I am logged in as root user. Okay, keep the fact in mind. Currently, I am logged into the server using root user. Now, there comes another thing. Now, this at the rate symbol, I'll explain you shortly. What is www? www is called as host name. What is host? So if you are not already familiar with the term host, host is a term used to refer computers in the network. So of course, if you want a server, you will have to end up accessing that server over the network, right? There is no other way to access a server. I mean, there are ways, of course. If you are physically located near the server, you can attach a monitor and access the server, but that is not actually relevant to this discussion. But when I say a host is actually a term used to actually denote a machine or a computer sitting in the network. Now, the www part you are seeing right now on the screen is the host name. It is the host name. Now, what is host name? Every computer in the network will be given and assigned a name. You know why? Because names are really important in the computing world. Now, why is it important? Actually, communication between computers are always happening using numbers. But I cannot remember a number. Being a human being, it's always better for us to remember names rather than numbers, because our brain is programmed to remember names and associate that name with something rather than associating a number with something. I mean, remembering number is not an easy job. So we name servers or we name computers. When I say servers and computers, it is very much similar to I am saying host. So when I say host, it is very much synonymous to computer or a server. So I will have to end up naming a server. This is a tradition that everybody follows. I must not say a tradition, I must say it is not possible to work with on any server without naming it. I mean, you can work for sure, but of course, I mean, by default, you might be thinking that you can work without a name. It is not like that. By default, also, even if you do not assign any specific name on your own, the server will name itself as something else, similar to localhost at the rate local domain or something like that. So, naming a server is very much essential. So, the thing that you are seeing currently on the right hand side is what? Is the name of the server. You may be thinking, why would somebody name a server as www? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to type a command. Don't worry much about it right now. I am going to type in a command. So, see that I'm going to type HOS and I'm going to press tab. So as soon as I press the tab, so bash, let me reiterate, bash is a program that will help you type in other commands, or I must say bash is a user interface program that will let you trigger other programs. So I just typed in host and then pressed tab, and I'm going to press it multiple times. So see that bash is very helpful in nature. Now we will see all of these features down the line, but for now, I need to trigger a command to showcase or to continue with the discussion that we are doing right now. So host, I just typed host and pressed the tab key on the keyboard multiple times. And it is asking me, are you willing to type any of these commands? Because you have already typed host, which means any of these commands. You might be looking for any of these commands. So I will say, yeah, I'm looking for something that starts with host n. And then I would do a tab once again. See that it automatically completed. See, I'm going to type host, then n. I'm going to press tab button on the keyboard and it automatically completed. See that host name. And then I'm going to press enter. See that it is written saying www dot slash root dot in is the host name of this particular server. Now you might be thinking if this is
So
the
that is
host,
uh, so that is the host from which you are dealt in the class.
this is an example server. Yeah, I mean, consider it as an example server that I created for today's class. Yeah,
Please continue.
okay. So as soon as I completed hostname command, I am currently able to see something on the screen that is the name of this server, the name of the host. Now, you might be thinking this name is pretty long, but still I am only able to see root, that is the username that I am logged into as, and www, that is the host name. But however, my host name is this whole thing, right? Not this www. No, it's not correct. So when you encounter something like this, when you access a website like www.yahoo.com, okay, when you access websites like www.yahoo.com, whatever currently you are seeing on the screen, when I say currently seeing on the screen, the address bar, in the address bar, whatever I'm typing, the leftmost side, this side, the leftmost side is called as host name, okay, and the right side is actually, there are different names for these three different things, but for now I will describe that when we reach DNS section. But for now, to understand bash terminal construction, keep the fact in mind, the leftmost side in this whole name is called as the host name, and the rightmost, whatever is left till the last com, is called as the domain name. So this is the host name, and things that you are seeing after the very first dot is called as domain name. So dot has a very detailed, I must say, importance in the case of DNS. We will learn all of those stuff in the coming days, but for now, keep the fact in mind: www is a host, which means this is the name of the server, name of the computer, and this is the name of the domain. So when you are typing www.yahoo.com, you are actually telling your ISP to go ahead and communicate with a computer that is named as www inside the domain yahoo.com. What is domain, what is dot, all these things we will learn down the line, but for now, keep the fact in mind: left hand side is for the host name and right hand side is for the domain name. In fact, we can dissect it further, which I will do in the coming days. For now, keep this fact in mind. Coming back to the discussion once again, so from the long name
Uh,
that you are yeah.
Sarad, I have a question. So the host is the name of the server, or is it the machine which is connected to the server?
Host is the name of the server. I mean, or
Okay.
I mean, if you want to reach this server, actually, DNS or servers should be able to communicate in a domain using like this. Let's imagine a situation: you have another server, okay? So consider this as one server, and consider we have another server named, let's say, for example, www.1./root.in or www.2./root.in, which means I should be able to reach the other server that is named www1 by simply using that name rather than using the whole name. I'll tell all of those things in detail in the coming days, but for now, consider from this particular whole name that you are seeing on the screen, left hand side, the leftmost thing that you're seeing before the first dot is the host name, and whatever comes after the first dot is called the domain name. Actually, we can dissect it further, as I just mentioned earlier as well. That dissecting we will do in the coming days to understand it further, but for now, consider left hand side is the host name. That is the very reason, because that is the name of the computer. The name of the computer, name of the server is www, and this is of course the name of the domain. That is the reason bash shell is only showing www, and not, it is not showing www.slashroot.in. It is intelligently identifying that the name of the computer or the server is the left hand side section and domain is the right hand side section, which I do not want to show to the end user whoever is logged in. Now, coming back to the discussion. So root, of course, at the rate, now with normal common sense you can understand, at the rate indicates that you are logged in as root user on the server that is named www, which means the server's name is www. So you are logged in as root on the server that is named www. That is what this prompt is indicating. Now there is actually a special meaning for this tilt symbol as well as this hash symbol. What are those meanings? I'll tell you what it means. Tilt, this symbol that you're seeing on the screen, tilt actually indicates the home directory of a user. So if you are from Windows world, then also you might have already heard of the term called home directory. Now home directory is nothing but a location provided for the user to sit inside and do his daily operations or do his activities that he is willing to do on a server. So what is home directory? Home directory is a construct is a concept devised for or devised for each and every user in the system, and that is nothing but a location inside storage where every user will be getting a location on the server when they log in, and that location will be used as their primary work location. That is what home directory is. Now, what does this tilt symbol indicate? Why do I discuss about home directory? So in Linux, in Bash shell, I must say, not nothing related to Linux as such. So in Bash shell, the shell prompt that you're logged into right now, in Bash shell, tilt symbol stands for as a shortcut to indicate the home directory. When I say tilt symbol indicates that you are currently logged into the server as root user and you are in fact currently located in the home directory of root user. That is what tilt symbol is indicating, which means currently you are sitting inside the home directory of root user. It is very similar to accessing a GUI interface, something like this. So if I go to, let's say, desktop or applications, I cannot see in Mac. So in the case of Windows, you might have experienced there is an address bar right here. In this in address bar, with that address bar will say you are currently sitting in C program files, blah blah blah, that kind of URL related stuff, right? Address bar in the case of what is it called? Windows operating system. Have you guys seen that? When you open a GUI based console or window,
Yes.
you get an address bar, right? So, similar to that, this particular location, that is root at the rate the host name, after that, whatever is being displayed over here indicates that you are currently located inside that particular location. Consider this space, that is the space after the host name, as a space used to indicate where you are currently sitting. Consider it as similar to the address bar of a window when you open a folder or anything in Windows operating system. Now, how can I prove it? I can, of course, prove it if you can deviate from or travel to some other location. So don't worry much about the command that I'm going to type right now on the screen. For now, think of it as a command that I'm using to travel to some other location inside the directory structure of the operating system that I'm currently logged into. So basically what I'm now going to do, I'm going to go and sit inside some other location. Don't worry about the command that I'm going to type now because we will be covering all of that in the coming days. For now, keep the fact in mind. I am firing a command which you do not need to be worried, using which I will be traveling to some other location, which is going and accessing some other folder so that we can learn the concept that we theoretically understood just now. So what I'm going to do, I am going to get inside some other location. Now you see that root at the rate ww tilt was shown earlier. Now instead of till it is showing tmp. So what I just did, I just went ahead and told my Linux computer to take me inside a folder or to take me inside a directory called tmp. That is the reason instead of tilt, I am currently being shown tmp here because I am currently sitting inside tmp directory. So what does this section indicate? This section indicates where you are currently located. And tilt stands for the home directory of the user. So if you are located in the home directory of the user that is logged in, then it will be shown as a tilt symbol over here. If you are sitting at some other location, then that location will be shown over here. Got it, guys? Got it clearly? Come on, please respond. Is anybody there? Hello, guys. Are you there?
Cannot listen your voice.
Are you guys there?
Yes,
Yeah, you are
Hello.
yes,
not audible.
yes,
I'm
Yeah.
not
present.
audible. Till
Yes,
where
you're
did you
audible.
hear? Till where did you hear? You guys
Till
heard
going to
till.
the temp file,
Okay.
going to
hmm
the temp file. That's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
from there.
So if you see the console right now, so don't worry much about the command that I typed in. That is whatever this command is. Forget about that command. The purpose of this discussion does not have any relation with the command I typed. So just want to showcase. So when I travel to different location inside the operating system, my shell prompt is now indicating me that I am located inside TMP directory. Consider it as a folder, consider it as a different location, similar to you traveling to D drive or similar to you traveling to C users, program files, or whatever it is. So TMP is simply nothing but a location in the file system of of Linux. Now, what is tilt? Tilt will tell you that you are currently located in the home directory. So tilt is a shortcut for showing home directory. So if you deviate from home directory and sit in some other location, it will show you that location on the in the place of the tilt symbol. Now what is this hash? Now comes the final thing. What is the hash? Hash indicates that you are logged in as super user, which means you have super user privileges. You are logged in as a big daddy. You are logged in as root user, which means that is the reason you are shown a hash symbol on the screen. So if you log out and become a regular user, which means a user like Sharath, a user like anybody, that user won't have the shell prompt that you are seeing right now. That user will have all of the components that we learned today, but instead of this hash symbol, it will have a dollar symbol. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to press Control D to log out of root user. Now you see that you are seeing a dollar symbol over here and instead of a hash symbol. You see here, I am now logged in as, see that my username is also changed. Instead of root, you can see sharath-admin-/root and you can see at the rate and you can also see www, that is the same server, and you can also see the location. Perfect, guys. Are we understood?
Yes, Sharath.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sharath, how can you repeat that one last? How did you log into that?
Don't worry about how I
That
logged in and how I logged out as well. So I just wanted to show you this. For now, just keep the fact in mind. I pressed the Control and D combination to log out of the root user and become some other user. Okay. For now, just
okay.
don't worry about it because that has no relation with today's discussion. We will cover that. Don't worry at all. At this point, don't worry about it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Mm, okay, guys. Everybody clear till here?
Yes.
Yes, Sharad.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So I think let's stop today's demonstration class right here, and your next class will be on starting from Monday. So you might have already seen from today's notification that the next class will be from Monday. So from Monday we will be starting from wherever we are leaving today. So we will take it from there and we will learn further more concept. Now,
Uh,
yeah, shoot,
Sharad,
shoot.
so this class, I just want to just confirm it. So this class is going to be a 5 day a week from Monday to Thursday,
Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday. Okay.
The Falcon 5 and Falcon 6 full credentials for both
Monday to Friday.
30th and the same
Sharath
company is
Lakshmi.
looking at all evening. You pass those
Whoever it
from
is, can you mute? If you are not
Falcon 6
speaking, please mute.
with your customers.
One second. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, ask me. Who was that? Vinay, you were speaking, right? I think.
And how we get the recordings?
You will get these recordings. Right now, you will get to know how you will get the recording because after the class, in an hour or two, you will get a download link for the recordings right away to your inbox.
it's
So
downloading, not the access. Okay.
you're using Sharath, you're using the S3 or Dropbox.
Yeah, you can get a simple S3 link. You will click on that link and download will start.
So it's an S3 link, right?
Correct, correct, correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sharath, this is Vinay. If I could not attend the class on Tuesday and Thursday, is it possible that lecture is going to be downloaded by me?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
link?
You will get, irrespective of whether you attend or do not attend, you will, of course, get the class recordings. So don't worry about it.
Okay. On that particular days, can you change the timings?
Uh, how
That
can
Tuesday
that be
and
done?
Thursday.
How can that be done for a one candidate, man? You just think about it, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, let me see.
Uh,
I
Yeah.
actually
Thanks,
prefer
Sharath.
earlier.
Uh huh.
Can it be done?
Sorry, your voice is not audible.
I
Can you
say
say
I
that?
actually prefer earlier class than later
I
class.
understand, but that's let me see half this current schedule perfectly suits my schedule as well. That's the reason I'm keeping it
I mean, I
in,
don't know
in the
between East Coast and West Coast.
I understand, but I think majority of them are in EST time zone, right, guys? Majority of you guys.
Yes, Sharath.
So I
Yeah,
think
I'm
that
EST, so like basically, if it starts at around 8:30, that would be ideal. Isn't that true?
yeah, that would be ideal, but that will be a bit difficult for me because starting the class at that time. That's the reason. Does not match with any work environment that I am, any consulting stuff that I do. That's the reason. That's the only reason. Let me see. I mean, make it half an hour earlier on, but I don't think it's possible. So
Yeah, I mean, half an hour is it's still a relay.
yeah, let's see. I mean, I will let you know on that front.
Yeah. So
Sharad, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if we have any other doubt, I mean, during the course while you teach, and then in between we have any doubts when we study or go through the stuff you teach. So, is there any forum or any way we can mail you and then ask our like personal doubts, or like since I don't want to disturb you during the class because
You
you
can
have
drop an email at sharath@root.in.
perfect, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, and you guys already know about the payment structure of the course. So I mean, if you are opting for a single module, which I do not recommend to do, because so many students have opted only for DevOps, and again they are opting now for Linux as well, which will again be learning like two different things at two different times. Of course, Linux is basic fundamental, so I recommend go through Linux and then attend DevOps. So the entire package is available to you at this price that you're currently seeing, US dollar 800. And you guys also have in your inbox the details on how to send the payment. And so I expected the payment to happen as early as possible. And as I told, this is going to be this course is going to provide a substantial boost, or I must say an edge to your career. So let's catch up back on Monday. That is starting next Monday, this coming Monday. We'll catch up at the same time, and also I will send you guys a reminder about pay structure and stuff, so that let's take it forward from next Monday. Okay.
Sure.
And also, guys, don't forget, have a look at this link. See that? See the number of tools that GNU is providing. Isn't that interesting? See that? Nobody ever remembers about this stuff. See that? GNU. See, letter wise they have arranged. See, these many number of tools are actually provided by GNU. Nobody ever cares about who is GNU, and that's pretty unfortunate. We have reached that stage. I mean, that's what happens in the industry. Okay, anyways, guys, let's catch up on next Monday. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.
You too, Sharad. Bye, Sharad.
Okay. Bye bye.